Good morning to the panelist that has just joined us.
Hi.
Who will be the lecturer for the session?
It's going to be Nicole.
Okay, I will wait until she's here and then I will stop my screen share.
Okay, can I just introduce myself in the meantime? Have we started?
Yes, you have 42 students. You may go for it.
Okay, hi students. I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Miss Kamalini Govender, and I've taken over the lectures from Dr. Beverly Cornelius. So if you do have any problems on the Musgrave campus, please let me know. Thank you.
Hi there, it's
Hi,
the Mac
Marianne.
Erlene here. Hi students, thank you for all your emails. I read and answer everyone. Hi Kamilini, welcome to the tribe.
Thank you, Marianne.
Good morning, Doc.
Good morning. How are you? Hi, Kamalini. How are you?
I'm finding you, Nora.
Good, thanks.
Colleagues, are you ready to?
Hi, sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I'm using a different device, so I'm just getting used to that. Okay.
All good. We can hear you quite well, actually.
Okay, cool, great. Let's hope that the internet connections remain stable. Okay, welcome everyone. Before we start the worksheet, what I would like to do is ask Caroline Governor just to introduce herself quickly. Cam, if you don't mind doing that.
Okay, I just did introduce myself, but I'll do it again for the new
Sorry.
students. No, it's fine. Hi, students. My name is Miss Kamalini Govender, and I'm taking over from Dr. Beverly Cornelius for the Musgrave campus. So please do email me. I've had very few students contacting me. I feel very sad about that. So please, yes. Thanks, Nicole.
Okay. No, I know there's been some confusion about who you are and where you fit into the picture. So I hope that's been clarified, and that students will contact you if they have any, questions or concerns or whatever. Okay, so we're going to today look at sentence constituents. So last time we spoke about parts of speech, and that was very much on the word level. Whereas today we're now moving into like phrases, like bigger chunks of text. And so now you're going to have to, again, just give me a minute here, because I'm going to turn my camera off, because otherwise you guys are going to be like looking up my nose while I do this, and that's just going to be weird. So give me 1 minute. Okay, please just let me know if you can see this. Hello.
Hi, it says Zoom worksheet 2 for presentation. Is it the folder you want us to see?
No, okay, I see what's happened. Okay, sorry. Give me a second here. Sorry, that's I wanted you to see the actual thing. Alice, no, please, seriously. Alice, no, not usual. I'm busy. Okay, is this what are you guys now seeing?
The worksheet.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
Okay,
Word document.
perfect. So we're finally in the right place. Okay, so the first few sentences on the worksheet deal with phrases, and I asked you to identify the underlined phrase. Okay, so in the first sentence we have, do you like the car I bought last week? And you were asked to identify the phrase, the car I bought last week. Okay, so I'm going to start, and what I'm going to ask again is if you have questions, just to put them in the chat or to put them in the Q&A, and then if I could ask my colleagues just to sort of feed those through to me, because I'm not obviously seeing any of that right now. Okay,
Of
so
course.
what we have here is a noun phrase. Oh, sorry, hold on 1 second again. Okay, so the first phrase is a noun phrase. And in a noun phrase, what you're really looking for here is what is the head word in the phrase? So in other words, what is the noun around which all the other information is centered? And in this case, we can say it's the car, and everything else is kind of about that car. So that's what makes it the whole phrase. Whatever is adding to you know, the sort of information about the car is the noun phrase. In the second sentence, everybody has been working hard. Okay, we have has been working. Any idea what kind of phrase that is? And I'm going to ask that questions to the students.
Nothing posted in Q&A just yet. Oh, here we go. Somebody has said verb.
Yes, perfect. Yeah, correct. That is a verb phrase. So remember, when it comes to a verb phrase, you can have a whole sort of string of verbs that are working together in a sentence, and that's what makes it a phrase. So has been working. We have a sort of whole thing here. The present perfect continuous, but I'm not going to go into that now because we haven't touched on tense as yet. The next sentence is the boy with the big brown eyes is looking out of the window. Okay, so again, I'm going to ask students, any idea what kind of phrase that is?
Okay, we've got Kim who suggests an adjective phrase, Raina who suggested a noun phrase.
Okay, good. I like the way students are thinking. It's a noun phrase, okay? And I'll get to the adjective phrase in a moment. So again, we have a noun phrase, and you have to ask yourself the question, what is the head noun or word in that phrase? And here the information is all centered around boy, okay? And the rest of the sentence is kind of, phrase is describing the boy in a bit more detail, but it's all about this boy. So that is your head, okay? We call that the head word. And the rest of it is adding to it. Now in the fourth sentence, the girl with curly brown hair is the one you should talk to. I put that in on purpose next because exactly what that student mentioned is, why is this then you know, not an adjective phrase? Because it is describing something, you know, with the big brown eyes is describing. Here it really just comes down to what has been underlined. So in sentence number 3, the boy is included in what I've underlined, whereas in sentence number 4, the girl is not included. Therefore, it can't be a noun phrase. It is an adjective phrase. Okay. Again, let's look at that in a bit more detail. So with curly brown hair is information that is helping us you know, find out more information about the girl. What does she look like, and so on. So this little bit here of the sentence is adding information to the girl. So that's why it is describing her, and that's why we would call it an adjective or adjectival phrase. Doesn't matter what you call it, really, adjective or adjectival. It's the same thing. Okay, so as I said, please, if there are questions, ask, and I can slow down. Otherwise, I'm just going to go on to the next one. Sentence number 5 is a little bit different. So we have underlined here, after several minutes, we found the key. After several minutes is giving us information about which word in the sentence. Any ideas? Are there any ideas coming through?
Not yet, but I'll let you know if something comes through.
Okay. The reason
here we
I'm
go.
okay.
Sorry, somebody anonymous has said time, somebody else has said information, and somebody has said the key, question mark.
I love it when people are just, you know, trying. Sorry, guys, I'm getting used to this tablet thing. Yeah, it's just trying out different things. It is telling us something about time, that is correct. But I want you to really pay attention and try and identify which is the word it is telling us more information about. After several minutes is telling us information about this word here, about found. In other words, like, how long did it take us to find this key that got lost? So it's telling us something about the time it took to find something. Now, what kind of word is found? So we're focusing on this word here.
Yeah, Silondiwe and Merle both say verbs.
Yes, excellent, it is. It's a verb, which then means that this phrase, after several minutes, is giving us more information about the verb in the sentence, which makes this an adverbial phrase. Okay, now adverbial phrases are kind of funny because they can do a couple of things, or they can give us information in different ways. So they can tell us information about how an action was performed, which is maybe the more common one, like if someone does something carefully or slowly or whatever. It can also tell us where an action took place. Okay, I'm talking about adverbial phrases here. So they can tell us how something happened or took place and where it took place, and it can also tell us why it took place. So when you're looking at a phrase and deciding what is it giving us more information about, and you can see that it is the verb. If it's answering any of these questions, how, where, or why an action took place, then it is an adverbial phrase. Okay, so for example, just to expand on that a little bit, in the sentence, I went to town to visit my friend. To visit my friend is telling me more information about the verb went. And it is basically explaining, why did I do this action? Why did I bother to go to town? And so in that regard, it's answering the question of why. Why did I go to town? To visit my friend. So adverbial phrases can be a little bit tricky in that way. The key thing there is tracing it back to, you know, to the verb, connecting it to the verb, and then you can be sure what it is. Let's look at number 6. We drove our car to the shopping center. To the shopping center. Again, any guesses there? What is it telling us more information about?
Lisa says the place.
It is telling us about place, yeah.
There's another
So in other words,
suggestion, the car.
It's not describing the car. I like the first one, it said about place.
Yeah, somebody else has added on to that saying, is it an adverbial phrase of place?
Yes, exactly. That would be correct. So in other words, it is telling us more information about drove because it's telling us where did we drive to. So if you go back to our questions that I just wrote up here, it's answering the question, where did you drive to the shopping center? Now, again, this gets a little confusing, and I've explained this in the videos on ECI, but I'm just going to quickly reiterate it here. These phrases, you'll notice, often begin with a preposition. Okay, so we've got the to there, we've got after, we've got with. So in a sense, they're all prepositional phrases because they have those prepositions, in them. So prepositional phrases are they kind of can do they do numerous jobs. So it's like wearing different jackets, different coats. It can tell you about place, but it's doing more than that. It is also doing the job of describing an action or a noun in the case of an adjective phrase. So it's okay to call it a prepositional phrase, but that doesn't really truly get to the bottom of what its real function is. So take it a bit further. It's not wrong to say that it is a prepositional phrase, but it's not telling us so much about the function that this phrase is doing in the sentence. So that's why you need to kind of then look at it. Is it doing the job of an adjective describing a noun, or is it doing the job of an adverb to tell us more information about the verb, and so on.
Nicole?
Yes.
Can I ask you something? They're just sort of preempting potential questions from students. If this sentence were given to them in a test and they were asked to identify the phrase, and let's say it's not a multiple choice question, but they just have to identify it as we've been doing now. If they were to write prepositional phrase, would that be considered entirely wrong, or would they get some marks, or how would they think about this in the test?
Yeah, I would probably say, again, it's not wrong. So you would get some marks, but you can also describe it more accurately. Okay, so you could, for example, say it's a prepositional adverbial phrase. Then that would be full marks. So you can, what I'm saying is you can be more specific and you can take it further, in a sense, be more right. So that's
Perfect,
sorry.
yeah.
Okay, let's then.
Can I weigh in here?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, if you ask what or where, we drove our car where, then it tells you where. So it is the adverbial phrase of place. Prepositions usually show the relationship between two objects. That's how I understood it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, no, I think that's a useful way of distinguishing it. Thank you, Marianne. I think, yeah, that does help.
Shortcut.
Sorry, I think we lost you there a bit at the end.
No, I've just said no, I always find the shortcut.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on to the number 7. My aunt passed me a jug full of water. Full of water is telling us more information here about the word jug. In other words, how full was it, what was in it, and so on. So can any of the students perhaps say, what is it, what kind of phrase is that?
Okay, we've got suggestions, an adjectival phrase, both suggestions are adjectival phrases.
Perfect.
Or one adverbial, but most people are saying adjectival.
Perfect. Yes, it's doing the job of an adjective because it's describing jug. It's giving us more information about jug. Okay, number 8, Jamie called his mother almost every day. Almost every day, and I want now the students to tell me what word is it telling us more information about in this sentence. Because that's important. We need to figure that out before we can identify it.
Okay. One suggestion is the word, actually everyone so far is saying called.
Excellent. Yes, it's telling us about the frequency of the calling of his mother. So it's in that then would make it an adverbial phrase. Okay. And it's telling us more information about the frequency of an action. So how often does he do something? So good. I'm glad that students were able to identify that called is the word in the sentence it's telling us more information about. Okay, so that basically takes us to the end of the first section, which dealt with phrases. Now the next part is, I've only got 3 sentences here just because I was worried we would run out of time. And I'm still getting used to how much stuff we can actually get through in these sessions. If you have questions about the phrases, there are lots of practice exercises on ECI. Also in the videos and in the online lectures, there are examples that you can look at as well. So please, if you, for example, do have a question relating to one of those examples, you're welcome to contact your lecturer. And very possibly we can maybe, we'll just see how we go in terms of time, maybe deal with it in the next Zoom session. So it's really up to students as well to communicate here, you know, areas where they're sure or not so sure. The next section looks at subjects, direct and indirect objects. Okay, so we're going to just analyze that first sentence to begin with. I need your help. Okay, so before we do anything else, we're going to find the verb in the sentence, because in order to do anything, it hinges on the verb. So we're going to identify, sorry, I've got the wrong pen. Okay, so need is our verb, okay? To find the subject, I always say the question is who or what, right? So who or, sorry, I hope you can read my handwriting. Who or what? And I always kind of put the question to the left of my verb. So, and I can then go, who or what needs your help? And the answer to that question is I'm the one who needs the help. So that is the subject of the sentence. Don't just assume that the first word in the sentence is the subject, because that's not always the case. We obviously things get a bit trickier, but so always go through the questions first. Okay, then in order to find your direct object, you're going to now use the question again, who or what, but we're going to place it to the right of the verb. Okay, so we're going to go, sorry, who or what. And we're going to then start with the verb needs who or what. So I need who or what, and in this case it's your help. The answer is your help. So that will make this the direct object. Okay, so I've done that kind of specifically because I just find it helps me in my head to separate the subject from the direct object, with the verb in the middle and being central to the question that has to be asked in order to find the subject and the direct object. Okay, so now we found the direct object. There's no indirect object in sentence number 1. Let's look at sentence number 2 to unpack.
Nicole, sorry.
Yeah.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, there's a request. Could you please tell me what is help in the sentence? So understanding, you know, the direct object entails more than one word.
Colleagues, we
Sorry,
have a student that has their hand up. Sorry, I'm going to allow Jamie Lee to talk.
Sorry, I'm getting confused. Who's talking?
There's a question on the chat.
Yeah.
Asking if you could please tell this poster what is help in the sentence.
Well, help is the direct object. It's obviously a noun, okay, a thing, and in this case, it's the direct object of the sentence.
I think it's maybe good to point out that the word your and the word help together create
Yes.
the direct object. That the word help is not separate from the word your in this case.
Yes, yeah, thank you, yeah, that's true. Okay, and sorry, was
Then
there someone else and you wanted to speak?
there was another student that had their hand up, so I have allowed Jamie Leroux to talk.
Yeah, sure.
So I just have a question about that. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I had a question about that that sentence. What is a direct object?
Okay, so you probably are familiar with object, that all the sentences in the English language are, you know, usually subject, verb, object. That's the sequence of sentence constituents. But objects can be divided into direct and indirect objects. So in your mind, what is an object is actually the direct object. And now I'm going to explain using the second sentence what an indirect object is. And then maybe that will help you to distinguish the two.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so let's see if that sort of clarifies your question, because I know that's something that's probably a lot of people are wondering about. So in sentence number 2, we have, I wish you good luck for the exam. Okay, again, we start with finding the verb, which is wish. I'm going to again put my question to find the subject on this side, who or what wishes you good luck for the exam, and the answer to that question is I'm doing that, so that's our subject. Now, this is where it gets important. So to find the direct object, I'm also going to write my question on the right-hand side of my verb. And I'm now going to go from my verb and go to my question. Sorry, this is going to get messy, so I apologize for that. So the question is, I wish who or what? And the answer is good luck. Okay, so this is the thing. So this is the thing that I am, in a sense, giving to you or wishing for you. Okay, the object, it's a little bit of an abstract one because it's not a tangible object, but the thing that I'm wishing for you is the good luck. So this is our direct object. Okay, so that's the if you like, the wish is kind of transferring onto the good luck. That's something I'm giving to you or wishing for you. So it's something that is transferring in that sense. Now, we left then with the question of you, because maybe some of you were thinking, well, that must be the direct object, but it's not. So you answers a different set of questions or question. Okay. So it answers the question of for, who, or what, or for or to, I should say. So who do I wish this for? And the answer is you. So this is the indirect object. Okay, so the indirect object in a sentence is the thing or the person that an action is being done for, if you like, to or for. So I do, okay, you know what, I'm just going to erase this because this is so messy. No one can actually read this, including myself. So I'm going to just write that out again. So the question that's important, to or for whom or what. Okay, so that is what the direct object is answering, I guess. I'm not sure if that clarifies the question between the two. I will do it again in number 3, so we can go through that example, and that might make it clearer.
Nicole?
Yes.
One thing I found quite helpful when distinguishing between direct and indirect object is, can you rephrase it using the word to? So as your question of the to, for, whom, what indicates. So you can say, I wish good luck to you, but you can't say, I wish you to good luck. And whatever comes after the to is the indirect object. So I find that quite helpful.
Yes, that's actually very useful because, as you say, it doesn't work the other way around. You will immediately know that it's wrong, that you can't, you can't do that.
Exactly.
Okay, but let's try that, your technique out as well. If you can jump in at the end of number 3, we can do the same thing there again to just try it out. So again, in sentence number 3, June made me a cup of coffee. I identify my verb, okay, and that is made. So we have our verb there. We ask the question, who or what made this cup of coffee? June made the cup of coffee. The doer, the subject is June. Now, again, we start with made and we ask made what? Okay, so made what? The answer is a cup of coffee. So that's the direct object. June did not make me in the sentence, okay? She made the coffee. Then in order to find the indirect object, we ask made for whom or for what, or to whom or to what. And the answer to that question is me. So that's the indirect object. Again, the me is the receiver of the action, okay? And it doesn't logically make sense. I couldn't say, June made what? A cup of coffee. That makes sense. Doesn't make sense. She made me. Okay, she didn't make me. She made the coffee for me. So it is again the receiver of an action, if that makes sense. So Noralie, maybe you want to jump in here and just rephrase it in the way that you that makes sense to you.
Okay, of course. So whereas in number 2, I rephrased it as follows. I wish good luck to you, and that works grammatically. And so the you is obviously the indirect object. For the third sentence, now it's the word for, because remember, as you, Nicole, pointed out, it's to or for whom or what. That's the question we ask. So if we were to say, June made a cup of coffee for me, that's grammatically acceptable. The me comes after the word for, and therefore that's the indirect object. But we can't say June made me for a cup of coffee. That doesn't make any sense grammatically or logically. And so we can identify the indirect object as the word that can come after the word to or for when we rephrase the sentence. The direct object can't come after the to or the for if we rephrase the sentence.
Okay. I think it's always useful to have different approaches and ways of trying to work it out. So I think it's best if students also allow this to sink in a little bit and work out what makes sense to you. Okay. And sometimes rephrasing the sentence is one way of doing it. Maybe the questioning works for you. There's no sort of one way of getting to the answer here. But it is something that comes with practice as well. Just because you're running a bit out of time, I want to go on to the last, maybe, I don't know if I'll have time to do all of these, but I want to do some of these in terms of the last part of the worksheet, which dealt with subject and object complements. Okay, so, sorry. So we have the sentence, she makes me happy. Okay, so again, let's just quickly run through the questions. We've identified that makes is our verb. Who or what makes me happy? She makes me happy, so that is our subject. Makes, so she makes who or what happy. Makes who or what happy. The answer is me. Direct object, okay? So that's our direct object in the sentence. Now, the underlined word or phrase is happy. And in order to find out, is it the subject complement or an object complement? The complement is something that adds more information to one of those phrases or parts of the sentence. Okay, so is happy telling me more information about me, or is it telling me more information about she? And you'll see then it's describing me or telling me more information about me, which will make that then an object complement. Okay, now the second sentence, she is an excellent engineer. Again, we've got a verb, a very small little verb, a stative verb is, okay? Who is an excellent engineer? She is an excellent engineer. So she is the subject of the sentence. This is a little bit of a tricky one. Okay, and I'm going to do this basically the shortcut way. So if you have a stative verb, sorry, my handwriting is just deteriorating. I also have a 5-year-old hanging on my back right now. if you have a stative verb, you immediately have a subject complement. Okay. So this, she is an excellent engineer. An excellent engineer is a subject complement. Why is it a subject complement? Because this part and the she is actually the same thing. Okay, we're not dealing with two separate entities here. Alice, no, please. It is one and the same thing. So you have she is an engineer. It's one and the same thing. So we can't separate them. Therefore, the excellent engineer is actually telling us more information about the she in that sentence. So that's kind of the convoluted way of looking at it, if you want to work through the logic of it. But the shortcut way is just to simply go, if you have a stative verb like is or was or were or whatever, it's immediately a subject complement. Okay, because logically those two are the same thing. Hope that makes sense. Okay, let me move on to the third one.
Before you do, sorry to bother, we have a student. The student that had their hand up, you can now speak.
Yeah.
I'm confused between the direct object and the indirect object.
Okay.
Can you clarify that in the sentences? Because in one sentence you say that the me is the direct object,
Yeah.
and in the other sentence, a cup of coffee is the direct object.
Yeah. It's don't think, yeah, okay, that is confusing. As I was going through this, I realized this is going to be something that someone's going to ask me. You always have to look at a word in the context of that particular sentence. So it is totally meaningless to learn in a sort of silo fashion, like in columns. This is a this, or this is a that. You know, independent of any kind of sentence context. So you have to be able to look at the word in this particular sentence. So it's totally fine for a word to be in one position in one sentence and then to move into another position in another sentence. So let me just show you this in a very basic way. So let's use the example, people need people. Okay, it's a logical sentence that makes sense, but that word and that word is the same, right? And in here it's the subject, and here it is the direct object. Okay, it's just really in terms of the placement in a particular sentence that you need to look at. Don't look at the word itself, like people. That alone is meaningless. You've got to like look at it in a particular sentence structure.
Just to flag all of our panelists, the session has 5 minutes remaining.
Yes, okay. Okay, so what I would suggest to students, these sessions are obviously quite sort of like condensed. There's a lot of stuff to take in. I'm kind of doing these sessions with the assumption that you've already worked through the online lecture content on this, and this is sort of like a reaffirming what you already have covered and maybe ironing out any confusions and so on. So as I said to you, the best way to sort of work your way through kind of grammar-based stuff is through practice. Go back, do examples, work through those examples, check your answers because they always do come with the answers there. And then if something doesn't make sense at all and you can't work out why is it wrong, then you can email your lecturer and say, look, this is what I have. I don't understand why it is wrong. I've tried my best, but please help. You can do that. You're welcome to do that, to contact us in that sense. Okay, let me go on to number 3, just because we are running out of time. Is everyone happy for me to do that?
Just a quick question, Nicole. There are about 4 sort of more general questions. I have recorded them. I don't know if you want to answer the questions live or maybe answer them in an announcement, because they're more to do with when marks are due and assignments are due and that kind of thing.
No, this is not the forum for those kind of questions. Those must be dealt with. Thank you. Yeah, okay. So Londi named her puppy Button. So we've got named is our verb, okay. Who or what named her puppy? Buttons. Londi did that, so she is the subject. Named what? Okay, her puppy. So that is our direct object, and that leaves us with Buttons. What is Buttons giving us more information about? It's telling us about the puppy, okay? So this is an object complement. So these complements are little bits of the sentence or parts of the sentence that just add more information to either the subject or the object. That's really what their function is. So they're often like little bits left over at the end that you're not sure what is their function. Their function is to sort of add on to either the subject or to the object in some way. Okay. Are there any questions at this point? Otherwise, I'm just going to leave sentence 4 for now. I can just maybe, I know we're running out of time. I can maybe just give the answer here. Okay, we have, okay, so this part here is a kind of decoy, okay? It's drawing your attention away from the actual main part of the sentence or the main clause, is the river had run dry, okay? So the river is our subject, had is our verb, obviously. Oh, sorry, yeah, had run, okay? And again, this had is kind of like a stative verb. So dry, what is it giving us more information about? The river, okay? It's telling us about or describing the river in some way. So it is a subject complement, that last one there. There's no object in that sentence anyway, so there's actually no option other than the subject. And as I said, this first part there is just you know, kind of like, that's not part of the main sentence, so don't pay too much attention to that. That was there to confuse you. I'm not sure if that's are there any questions at this point?
No, just those general ones that I have recorded, and we'll address them elsewhere. No new questions related to the subject.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We'll send out an announcement about those, so we'll get the answers to them as soon as we can.